So in today's video, I'm going to be looking at diamonds aren't forever. It's a new tactic, or apparently it's not new because I've been away from the game for too long. Looking at the tactic, I'm actually testing it out with Madrid, and we have a game against Chelsea, as you can see in the screen. And looking at the tactic so far, this is the diamonds aren't forever. Diamond Destroyer, that's the name of the tactic really. Diamond Destroyer tactic created by ZaZ-Blue. He uses a defensive midfielder that is a roaming playmaker on support DT, and again, I know I did scream at some point that if I see two inverted wing backs on attack DT once more, I'm going to actually lose my shit in this game. But to be fair, in this particular version of the tactic, I actually understand why he's using two inverted wing backs on attack duty, because obviously in the roaming playmaker here is going to drift a lot forward, and then the box-to-box midfielder is going to get up and down the field. The Metala is not going to help you defend. Worst case scenario here is also on attack DT, and then there's a shadow striker as well that has no business in defending. So basically there's nobody in the center. That's why I understand why there are two inverted wing backs on attack DT, and then the two strikers are advanced forwards on attack DT. So let's go into the tactic in detail then. So there's a super keeper on support DT, and he has no instructions. The inverted winger on attack DT has two: shoot less often and tackle harder. The two ball-playing defenders, by the way, the central defenders are ball-playing defenders, and they have dribble more, shoot less often, tackle harder, and stay wider. Stay wider. I'm saying this might be something that works in football manager. I don't know why I don't do this very often. So next, the two ball-playing defenders have identical instructions, by the way. The inverted wing back on attack DT on the left-hand side, he also has identical instructions to the inverted wing back on the right-hand side. So the roaming playmaker on support DT has four instructions: dribble more, shoot less often, move into channels, and tackle harder. The box-to-box midfielder on the right-hand side, he's the central midfielder on the right, and he has take more risks, dribble more, shoot less often, and move into channels and tackle harder. Then his central midfield partnership is a Metala on attack GT. Like I said, he has no business defending because he's also on attack. Dribble more, shoot less often, and shoot more often. Okay, shoot more often and tackle harder. The shadow striker on attack DT has tackle harder and shoot less often, and then the two advanced forwards have identical instructions: take more risks, dribble more, shoot less often, and tackle harder. Going into the in possession instructions then, when the team is out of possession and when they're in transition, when the team is out of possession, we're going to begin with the out of possession instructions. When the team is out of possession, they'll be asked to press with a much higher line of engagement while the defensive line is still standard. This sort of works well because there's a stretch of players in each phase of the field. So there's an attacking midfielder, a central midfielder, defensive midfielder, and then the back four, and the central attackers, the strikers in that case. So there's every player in every zone of the field to some extent. So I understand why you would use a much higher line of engagement than a standard defensive line. The team has also been asked to press with a much more urgent trigger press while preventing short goalkeeper distributions and using the offside trap. No one gets stuck in. I think that's actually a good thing this time. My players tend to get a lot of red cards. So going into the in transition phase then, the team has been asked, the goalkeeper first of all has been asked to roll the ball out. The team then has been asked to play with the counter press and then the counter attacking instructions all turned on. Now going into the in possession instruction then, the team has been asked to play with an extremely high tempo while playing out of defense. That's unique. Now looking at the final third, they've also been asked to walk the ball into the box, and these are all the instructions you need. Considering that I'm using Real Madrid, I don't really expect to force the team to do a lot much. So I tested this tactic out with two teams that are quite different from Real Madrid. That's Portsmouth and Sassuolo. Sassuolo are currently in the Serie, and to see how well they did. Okay, the season's all over now. We're currently in the 31st of May 2022, and the Diamond somewhat took Sassuolo to 6th place in the division. I remember I didn't check where they were supposed to finish, where they were predicted to finish, but then they went on to qualify for the European places. They finished the Europa League, I guess, the Euro Cup. So they lost only 9 games all season. They had a goal difference of 14, but then they won 19 of those matches. They drew 10, so that's a lot of draws in my opinion. But looking at the team stats then, we can see that Sassuolo, they were the 4th highest amount of goals. They scored only 64. They're a mid-table side, but AC Milan, Lazio, and Inter Milan scored a lot more goals than Sassuolo. But you can see that they had the highest amount of tackles won, so the tactic was a bit aggressive. Looking at the possession-wise, they were not really good in possession, as we saw that the tactic was, it has a high tempo, high direct passing in their own play. Looking at the fears considered, I don't also expect to see Sassuolo in that sense because the tactic is quite open. what's interesting for me, I'm going to take a look at the data hub to see how well Sassuolo did with the tactic. Although it's not their main formation, but looking at the expected goal, they had an expected goal of 1.96, which is a far expectation from what the normal Serie expected goals is. So they had 1.96. That's far higher than the expected goals of the league in traditional, like, of the league. So looking at Portsmouth, then how well Portsmouth did, they went on to get promoted to the Championship. The Sky Bet LeagueOne actually gets promoted to the Championship. They got knocked out from the Carabao Cup against Sutton. That's not a very good one. Looking at the Papa John's Trophy, then they got knocked out to Chelsea under 23s, and then they got knocked out by Chelsea again in the FA Cup. But then looking at their league performance, they won 28 matches. They also drew 10 games, just like Sassuolo, but then they lost 8, and then they have a goal difference of 41. And then looking at the amount of goals that they scored, the least conceded was Fleetwood with 44. Portsmouth are right up there as well with 53, but then looking at the most goals, Portsmouth scored 94 goals in their season, and then the fewest, 94 goals in the league alone. That's not counting the amount of goals they scored in other competitions. And then looking at the fewest shots against, Portsmouth are right up there. So the tactic seems to work well for teams that are in, let's say, somewhat lower table sides or teams in lower leagues. It kind of works well for them. And Portsmouth, I don't think they were also predicted to finish in the promotion place, but they did well with this tactic, and then they got promoted. The most shots, Portsmouth, again, they did well with the tactic. Most points per game, 2.04, a little short from Wigan. So they also did well with the tactic, and it worked out for them a lot better than it worked out for Sassuolo. So higher up the leagues it might be much tougher to get the tactic to work, but I assume that with a hands-on approach, you would be able to get the tactic to work very well for you. But currently the season is over. You can see, just a recap of how the tactic is set up. It's a diamond 4-1-2-1-2, 2 strikers, 2 advanced forward. Positive mentality with extremely high tempo. That's why we don't see a lot of possession as well. There isn't shorter passing as well, so the team isn't going to retain possession as much, so you don't expect that much from possession. So thank you guys for sticking out with this video. Let me know how the tactic works out for you. You can download it for yourself. I'm going to attach the link in the description down below, a link to FMB, so you can get the tactic for yourself, and then you can download it and let me know how it works out for you. I'm not very comfortable using diamond system, but it's something like using the Diamond Destroyer by ZaZ-Blue is something I've actually enjoyed using for the time I've actually tested it out with Real Madrid and also with Portsmouth in this short period of time. So it seems to work well, and it seems like this tactics has the diamond really figured out. So remember, if you like this video, also hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications when new videos come up. I'm going to also check more ideal tactics for you in Football Manager 2022 in the new match engine, so you can stick around in the channel. Also turn on the notification bell so you can get notifications when new tactic videos come up.